Ngosi Talk Shows family. Is Snumsa here at Ngosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. So with me today, I'm with the Shireen Love Groove and Carol Ann Cooper. How are you,
I'm
ladies?
good, thanks. One minute.
Yeah, but I'm good too.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So the topic today is messy but meaningful, building real connection in an imperfect life. In a world obsessed with the curated photos, perfect plans, and filters, feelings, the ideas of messy connection can feel uncomfortable, maybe even wrong. But here's the secret, guys, that we're going to share with you. Real connection doesn't come from perfection, it forged in the messy, honest vulnerability spaces of life. So, Carol Anne and Shireen, who chose this topic between you two ladies?
Well, I got the title. I looked up from suggested last week.
Okay.
There was a closing reflection that I gave about maybe the real question isn't can they give 100%. Maybe it's can we create a relationship where presence, effort, and truth are alive, even when life is messy. And it was that last bit there that was sort of suggested. Shireen, you suggested maybe that was the topic for this week. So I just put it into chat, asked for some titles. I had to go through a few before I found one that went, oh, yes, that's the one.
That was juicy.
Yes, and this one, messy but meaningful. I thought, yeah, that sounds good. So, yeah, it is about, should it always look perfect and effortless and tidy? And where does that thinking come from? Is that some myths? And actually having that thought, what does that do to the relationship? So yeah, how can we? Is it possible to create a relationship where presence, effort, and truth are alive, even when life is messy? So what are your thoughts, Shireen?
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic, isn't it?
Mm.
When you look at it and then look at it in the sense of depth, messy but meaningful. Because often when we think of a mess, we don't think about it as being meaningful, right?
Yes.
They're two things that just don't seem to go together. And yet we're saying, hey, it's messy but meaningful. But and to be really honest, this is what life is, isn't it? Life is messy, no matter what. It's always going to be unpredictable. That we can't, that our nature is to look for predictability, and we often feel safety in predictability. But actually, if we can navigate the unpredictability, that's where we really find our true freedom, isn't it? That's where we find the gold dust or the nuggets that help us have a really wonderful and successful relationship. So yeah, I suppose what I was really paying attention then to the idea of, if it's messy, what do we need to be able to navigate the mess? And how do we picture it? How do we embody that in a sense? And the meaning making we make about being in a mess. Maybe it isn't about being in a mess. Maybe it's just being in gorgeous chaos, right? And being able to just enjoy the gorgeous chaos. Now, when I think about, how the universe was first formed, it was in chaos. It wasn't in anything structured or ordered. But as things started to evolve, you start to see there's a beautiful symmetry and a beautiful, I won't say the word symmetry necessarily, but there's a kind of order that happens because of gravity, because of forces, right? That start to bring things into some form of alignment. So that was what was really going on. And I was thinking, in a sense, if it's a mess, what can we do from a gravitational, in a sense, an inner gravitational aspect to bring things into an alignment that allow us to resonate with that and allow us to navigate in a way that we can. Yeah, so those were the thoughts that were running through my mind. ish.
Ish, yeah.
as you look at it, when you look at it at the beginning of the day and you start thinking, and then when you sit here, I've been doing a little bit of work which is really about how do you let the spirit talk through you, right? And I think when you write and when you're dancing Namsa, there is some sort of spirit that comes through. Maybe the Holy Spirit, it really doesn't matter. But what I think is that there's this, our body has its own kind of organization, but the way it comes together is actually in a disorganization. And then there's somehow it comes together and we get something. And so, yeah, that was what I was really thinking about, in the sense of, when we're in the mess, actually, if we're comfortable in the mess, the real voice can come through, the real truth can come through. If it's structured and it's formed, there's no space for creativity. So we need the mess. We need the mess, is what I was.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Namsa, you're muted.
That was Carol Ann being smart. It's like, I like how you chose the topic, how you explain how you chose the topic, Carol Ann. I think that is amazing like when you say, can you give it all 100%? So you're like, and then you came up with this idea with the topic, like, no. It's okay when it's messy but meaningful, as long as not 100%. But building that authentic connection is an imperfect life. I think that is a really, really powerful topic. And I also like Sharina, how she put it, that is messy but chaotic. So that's okay as well. So I think that is really, really, really powerful. That it's like we just helping our audience that to understand that it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be 100%, but it's okay even when it's messy. And because the perfection, I think, is a myth for me, the way I see it, but embracing the chaos of life, like Shireen said, is the step to building authentic relationships. Also understanding that really connection starts with the real life, because people don't understand it. What we do on social media, we put pictures, we show off and things like that. It's not real, but the real life is when you're faced with that reality of life. The authenticity when things get messy, and when misunderstandings comes into a relationship, and then that when you're able to conquer that struggle, I think that's okay. It's like it's not perfect, but it's okay. We understand each other, we understand our desires, we're just gonna keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah,
That's
you're
it,
gonna
yeah.
keep going as long as you understand the journey where we're
Yeah,
going.
yeah. And I think that the trap is that thinking that love should always look effortless, look perfect and tidy, and there's nothing wrong. Yeah. And actually, as you were saying, life has a way of throwing curveballs. And it's how do you then navigate those curveballs? And I love the phrase you said, in the gorgeous chaos. and I think it's in your language, isn't it? Because just rephrasing it into gorgeous chaos brings a different feel to the whole scenario, rather than navigate the mess, or there's this horrible mess, or whatever words you're using to describe it, that actually have got a very low vibration and negative feel to them, and it's heavy and it's almost like, oh God, I can't get out of this. Whereas a gorgeous chaos, that phrase thinks, well, okay, but well, what's gorgeous about it? That opens up curiosity,
Yeah.
and wonder, and going, okay, so again, in that chaos and that mess, where's that silver lining?
Mm.
Where is that gorgeousness? Where is that lesson, that learning? You know, what do we need to do to navigate it? It opens up a whole lot of questions, and just getting curious helps you to move through it. And then learn those lessons, and it's about doing it together. It's about being together, even when everything else is falling apart. I just love that phrase there, because it's not about having it all together.
Yeah.
You know, we've got it all together, we're good. It's about being together. So yeah, life is very unpredictable. And I think the only constant is change, is that phrase, isn't it? So things will change, and yet we think we've got it all planned out. We think we've got it. Yep, that's it. But it doesn't. Nothing ever goes to plan. And I know what pops into my head is doing the accounts all on paper. It works. Our money always worked. You know, my ex-husband and I, and yet in real life, I don't know what happened. It never seemed to. Things came in and it just threw it all off course. So yeah, it's how do you then work together to move through that? And I think finance is an area that can cause a lot of stress and tension and can be really messy. So it's how do you work through that? And what you were saying, Shireen, about bringing things into alignment, I suddenly got that picture in the chaos and the dissonance. It's like it is a messy picture, and vibrationally it's all over the place, but it's about changing your vibration, because it's vibration that will bring the harmony and the peace and a beautiful picture rather than a chaotic picture. I don't know if you've seen the I saw a little video the other day where he had a bow from a violin, and it was a piece of card or a piece of metal, and he put a little bit of sand on it and literally just pulled the bow down it. And when it was a perfect sound, it literally, the shape, absolutely amazing, you know? And it's like, with the water crystals, there's a book about the water crystals where he shows certain words and you get a horrible, horrible picture. It's really chaotic and it doesn't feel nice to look at. Whereas, you know, words that are loving and open and have got that higher vibration, the picture, the crystals are beautiful to see. So again, it's how can you shift your vibration so that you come into that alignment, that vibrational, instead of dissonance, it's, I don't know, what's the other word? You're muted, Shireen.
Coherence.
Coherence, thank you. That's it. Yes, it's coherent, having a coherent heart comes down to. So yeah, trap or truth. Instead of being in the trap, let's be in the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading a book at the minute, and I love what you're saying. Trap or truth. Very interesting. Because what is truth?
Yes.
The truth can only be what we experience. Whatever someone else does or whatever is there, we will never reference it unless we feel that truth is our truth and only the truth. And we need to feel it as a vibration, interestingly enough. When we feel it, it's a resonance. It's something that's fitting. It's like pieces coming together. But I'm reading a book at the minute by Paul Schultz and Barry Michels, and it's really called The Tools. And one of the tools, which was really interesting, and I think it may be something that's aligned here, is active love. Who says that love is not something we have to work at? You know, I think a lot of people think, we just do love, we fall in love. But actually, love is about working at it. It's about truly spending that time, like you said something, which Carol Ann, we're doing it together, right? Even though everything else is out, is not together, we do this together, right? So together we walk, together we stand. If you have that kind of sense of really having that active love, of really being in that space and going, okay, how do I do this? There's an outpouring of love that allows the whole of you to come forward and the whole of you to be present, right? And really, and how, and it's interesting that the word present is interesting and just in presence, right? We get the gift. So active love is the act of giving the gift all the time. And also because it's an outpouring, it means that there's going to be a coming back, because it's always the case. We pay attention. Even dogs know our emotional state. They can observe what we're looking and seeing in the same way as we can see. Most of communication is nonverbal, right? So the sound of your voice, the way you move, the way you look, all of these things, even just you just dart your eyes back and forward and someone's looking at you, they're already thinking, what does that mean, right? So we have to be really aware that most people or all of us pay attention to the emotional aspect or the vibratory aspect, and we don't really pay attention enough. Well, depends on how we're paying attention, but we probably pay too much attention to the thought rather than the feeling, and don't spend time going into that chaos where we can really learn to decipher, to vibrate with that feeling. So the act of love is really about this outflow. And when we have outflow that's full of love, it does create that heart coherence, which you were talking about, right? It allows us to beat in that resonance that's pure, like that pure note or that pure, scraping down with the bow. And then all of a sudden, everything just moves into some form of pattern that is symmetrical, that is able to almost move infinitum in its wake. It has a particular arithmetic sequence or geometric sequence. So yeah, I think it's really important that if we want to think about navigating the chaos, our first step needs to be the step of learning how to do active love. One, active love to ourselves, right? And then active love to someone else, so that we have that outpouring all the time. That's outpouring without effort once we're able to do it, right? Many people have, there's not one child in this universe that's in a social environment that hasn't got some negative aspect, right? They haven't had some experience in their life where they felt hurt in some way. And if that hurt hasn't been healed in a way, we run through our saboteur patterns. So the way when we do active love, the saboteur patterns, they don't really show themselves. We actually are able to counteract that saboteur or that negative voice or that negative thinking and see things from the truth. And I think when you read the Bible or when you read something that's so profound, it changes the way we look at the world directly. So if we're sitting in that active love, what's the reason I'm looking at this? What's the reason I'm doing this? How can I be more loving? And what kind of love am I giving? All of these things are very profound questions to lean into when we're in the chaos. Because love is the way out. Active love is the way out of chaos.
A lovely phrase.
I love the phrase as well, Shireen, when you say act of love is the way out of chaos. That I think it simplifies everything. And also I like what Carol Ann said. She said the trap is when we think love should look effortless. And she also said this about having like having all together. It's about being together, not love being effortless. Because some people, they get so frustrated, I think, when things are messy, is they have this picture in their head what love should look like. So they want that person, they want actually to design that love that they see that how it should look like. And some of it is, I think, is all about friends copying each other. Um, and that mask that we have, that we wear, so mask of fine, mask of being busy, got it all together, like Carol Ann said. I think the best plan is just to cut this script and let people see the real you. I think that is really, really important, not to pretend, because the people pretend a lot, even in relationship, they pretend to be Gigi. I call them GB, good boys, and Gigi, good girls. They don't want people to see the chaos. They don't want people to see the messy. They just want people to see that good girl thing and good boy thing. But it's so frustrating. I think people just should live the reality of life is I'm not perfect. Like Carol, Shireen, you said act of love, like loving yourself, and then like looking at someone else, how can I love them? Because when, like what you said, when you love yourself enough, you are able to share that experience with someone unconditional without expectations. So you love them even when they are messy. And I think that's what you mentioned last week regarding your partner. You were like, at first you were looking at things in a different way, but then you decided to look at things in a different angle. And then you find that happiness. So I think when people straining themselves and they want things to be in a certain way. So I realized myself when I just gave up or wanting to be perfect, I realized actually I'm straining myself. There's no such thing as perfection. I just decided to let it get messy. Even with my children, I just let them, I let them do what they want to do in the house. And after that, and then I say, okay, let's clean the house, let's do this. And some of them, they promise to clean and they do a runner and they come back and tell me, oh, I've done it with you, mommy. I'm like, no, you didn't. So yeah, I think this topic is, we want us to look at life deep, really, really deep, to say, are we really straining our lives and putting stress on ourselves by not really showing up for who we are and showing up for ourselves and allowing ourselves for things to get messy? And because getting messy, it means that I'm not perfect. I'm allowing myself, I'm aware that I'm not perfect, and I'm aware that the person that I'm in a relationship with, they are not perfect. As long there is no abuse or anything, life is beautiful. I think Carol Anias, you're giving us food for thoughts about life here, as always.
Yeah, it's what you I love what you were saying, because it's about being the real you, showing up, being willing to show up. Because if you're not being willing to show your emotions, you're locking down. And it is about being authentic. I love that word, authentic. Now I understand what it means. It took me years to understand what it meant. But being authentic means that there's that truth. You're not hiding something in the background. You're not saying one thing, but thinking something else, totally different. You're being you. You're being authentic. And you're not putting up a mask and an appearance to the world that, oh, this relationship is perfect. Or even to each other in the partnership, in the relationship itself. You are being open. You're being honest. You're actually allowing your emotions to be there, showing up, showing what you're fearful about, showing what's upsetting you. And it's not, and it's just, it's being with those struggles, allowing those struggles to show up and talk to each other, sharing it. And that's what builds the relationship, the intimacy in the relationship. So allowing yourself to be authentic, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and just show up what is going on for you. And it's not about laying blame anywhere or making someone feel guilty because of that. It's just being honest about what is here for you. And if it's because of something in the past that still hasn't been dealt with, it's being honest about that, recognizing that, because that's what needs dealing with, because that's what is actually causing the chaos in the moment, to be honest. And when things like that show up, it's because you are ready to deal with it. Sometimes people think, oh no, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. But actually, yes, it wouldn't show up if you weren't ready, if you didn't have the tools and the resources to actually deal with it. That is something that I've learned over time. It's taken a while to realize that, but it's like, actually, when you sit with that, it's very true. Something you said, Shireen, about let spirit talk through you. And I think it reminded me of someone's post yesterday that I replied to, about it's not always about needing to talk. It's about being comfortable just sitting in silence with one another. Because actually in that silence, that comfortable silence, a lot is said and a lot is communicated. And there's something that brings you closer together. You're not in your head, you're not thinking, you're just being present in the moment, and you're being together in silence. And if you can be comfortable in that silence, that will help for what really wants to be said to come up and be said. And I've sat with Brandon Bays many times in something called satsang, which is where truth is spoken. And meditate first of all, and then we just sit in that silence. And then something will bubble up and someone will share something. And it's beautiful because we just sit in silence, and then truth as a way of just bubbling up and being said. And it doesn't come from your head. You're not sitting there thinking, oh, what can I say? What can I say? All of a sudden, you just find something being said. And if there's nothing to say, it's okay. And it's being okay with having nothing to say. And I think so many people think, oh, I've got to say something, got to say something. Well, actually, no. So I think if there is that chaos going on, maybe get comfortable in being in silence for a while. Give yourselves that, which I think today is a luxury, actually. It can be termed a luxury. The silence, to be quiet together, you know, and then see what happens. And I love that. When you were saying about active love, I think that is a form of active love, because it's that beingness, and then there's that outpouring of love. I love that phrase, outpouring of love, because when you find what you want to say that comes from truth, it comes from the heart, and it comes with love. So there is no anger, there's no, pointing of fingers or blame. And yeah, so being authentic, being yourself, and being truthful about what is going on for yourself, and allowing your partner to have that same space. Remember, it's not all about you. There's two of you in the relationship. So I love this phrase I got here. The most meaningful relationships aren't clean, they're continually cleaned up together. I thought that was beautiful. Yeah.
I love that.
Me too.
I was while you were speaking, Caroline, I was going back into that thing of authenticity and authentic. And I was and I kind of had this quiet silence, which you and I had this sort of idea in the sense which came up, which was authentic comes from the word authority, right? And authority is really where we stand forward, right? We take ownership, we bring ourselves and we say, we're here, we're telling our truth, we're to be accounted for in a strange kind of way. So authenticity is that sense of really bringing yourself forward in your truth, in your state of being, not an authority because you know you've learned something, but it's an authority that comes from every cell within your body. So when we're, you know, so that was what was kind of percolating as you were talking about in that silence. And I think that's what's really what we're doing here. We're kind of spending a little time listening, but also we're trying to hear what our inner soul, our inner being is trying to share with our viewers, right? We're trying to go, okay, what is it that we're feeling? What is it that, even though I might not know exactly what I'm going to say, I trust that there's something there that's going to resonate, and I'm, oh, that's an idea that may be useful. That dovetails into this. And I think what really is coming into this idea of what makes something, and I suppose also my thoughts were going to meaningful, right? What makes something meaningful is how it resonates. You know, for me, it is about how it resonates with your truth, right? If it's meaningful, it's going to impact you. If it's meaningful, if it doesn't mean anything to you, you're not going to even resonate. You're not going to even think about it. You're not going to be bothered by it. So there's something about the chaos, you know, how to, you know, messy is but meaningful is how do we make this mess meaningful? How do we make use of the mess or the chaos? How do we make it meaningful that we can learn from it, that we can grow from it, that we can become authentic or an authority with it so that we can bring ourselves forward? You know, I just keep being reminded that, you know, we come onto this earth not for ourselves, but for others. But we need ourselves to be there for others, right? And with others automatically means that we are going to be in relationship to them. So yes, in this messy world that is how do we stay in that space, like in the wind, in the circle, in the middle of a hurricane when everything's going around? How do we stay in that state either of silence or that state of probably bliss, where we can then resonate and see the picture or see the resonance, how it's forming out, and then respond to that? And I think we perhaps don't really recognize just how bloody good we are at it if we take a few moments to just resonate right with it, resonate with our own truth, with our own, you know, we have beliefs, we have values. These are the things that are so deeply important to us. So when we become our authentic self, we resonate with those values, with those beliefs, with those truths. Yeah, we probably, some of the things we might need to check their hours, not somebody else's. But when we check that is truly ours, then that resonance is pure. I believe it's pure. I believe it's, for me, it's the word of God speaking, or the soul. I truly believe that it is, and it may be you may not say anything, but it will be in your thinking. It will be the way you'll start to reflect over the world. It will be meaningful to you, and it will bring great meaning to others. So when we think about active love and the act of love, both of those are interesting in just those two separate statements. I think that in order to do the act of love, we have to be active in it. And that requires us to see love as meaningful, as a meaningful conduit to shift and change things. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. So how do we create meaningfulness in order to deal with the messiness? How do we invoke it? How do we bring it forth?
Great question.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it, Carol, and you said being okay, having nothing to say. I think my pastor, he was, Dr. Olukoya, he was talking about it over the weekend that some deliverance, they come when you're just quiet and just waiting for God to answer you. You don't have to speak. You don't have to complain. You just have to be quiet. So I like it, what you say, Carol, and it's really, really powerful. Be okay, having nothing to say. And I also like, Carol and Sharina, how you said, how do we make this message to be like meaningful? And you also said we come on earth, not for us, but for others. And that's what Dr. Olokoya always say, that sometimes when you don't do what you're meant to do on earth, what God has ordained you to do, it means you're holding someone's blessings, because someone needs to be blessed through you. Someone needs to find true love through you. So if you're not, like if you're single, you're a woman, and you're not taking action to find that special person, it means that person that is meant to be connected to you, they're going to miss out because you're not taking action. So I love both what you said. I think it's really, really, really powerful. And I think also, like you said, you girls said, you don't have to spill your soul in every conversation. I think that's what Carol Ann said. And just begin with the honest small talk, or just say nothing, and let your vulnerability grow over time as well. I think in most of the things, it's like people don't like to show their vulnerability. They like to put the mask to pretend to be something that they are not as well. This is where I said authenticity, and Shirini, you said authority. And I think this is where everything just comes in. Who are we? And because we want to force these things to happen the way we want, but that's not what, if it's not what God wants. If God wants it to be messy so we can grow, like Carol Ann said. So in order for us to grow, things have to get messy first. In order for us to learn how to work with challenges, things have to get messy so we can learn. So I think that is really, really, really important. These things that you guys have mentioned, be okay, not having anything to say, because people always have something to say.
They always have something. They think there's something to say. Yeah, it's as if you've got to fill a void. They don't like silence. Yeah, it's silence is golden. I love that song, like those words. But yeah, what you were saying, Hamza, no, Shireen, about how make use of the mess and grow from it. And Namsi was saying about the same about learning from it. It's about embracing what is here, isn't it? And realizing that things get stagnant. There's no life there. So it's about something it brings. You've got to agitate it, haven't you? To get it moving again, you have to agitate it, bring something fresh in, and get flow happening. And I this thing about embracing the unfinished. how many people think that love is actually a final destination? Well, actually, it's not an actual final destination, because if you've got there, then what else is there? It's about continually finding love, renovating it. And instead of just trying to fix yourself or your partner to fit into some perfect picture or ideal picture of what love should look like or what a relationship should look like, as you were saying, Noms, it's about growing together in that messiness. So it's how can you grow together? So again, it's that getting curious. Well, how can we grow together in this, in life, the realness of life? Because I just got that phrase, the map is not the territory. It's like you have a picture of it. I love maps, and I'll draw a map, but when you I got off the bus the other day, I had my map, but it was like, oh, I got off at the wrong stop. And it's like all of a sudden it's in 3D, and it's like, oh my gosh. I had to find someone and ask the way, but which I did, and it was fine. I got there, but it's all very well having a map, but it isn't the same as in your 3D in real life. And that's the same if you've got a picture of what you think a relationship should be like, or what love should be like, this perfect picture, then life will show you otherwise, because there is no perfectness. And it's about accepting the perfectness of the imperfectness. It's perfect in its imperfection. You know, and that's another phrase that I love and heard many years ago. And I thought, oh yeah, it is. It's embracing it and accepting it. So making the most of that chaos. How can you learn? How can you grow? And I love what you asked there, Shireen. What makes something meaningful? It's like, ooh, great question. How can we create meaningfulness out of this? And it's just getting curious, isn't it? These questions. So it's asking powerful questions. That's the way through and out of the chaos. Finding some powerful questions and being willing to sit in that chaos and face it. Ask the question and face the truth, which you're probably going, oh, no, don't want to face that. It's easier to put up the happy face. No, there's nothing going on. Yeah, sit and face the truth, because actually that is what will set you free. That's what will bring even more love into it, into the relationship, because there's something that helps. It brings you together. It's like, oh, it's like you can breathe again. And there's movement and there's flow, and the stagnation suddenly has oxygen, which allows you to grow and breathe. And yeah, just I think it's about not worrying about having the right words when you do speak. And again, it's that sitting in silence and allowing what wants to be said, and not worrying about it being the right words or you having the perfect solution, because it's just about being present in that moment and staying emotionally available, being in the emotion, but just being present to it. And that's what keeps love alive.
Yeah, while I was reflecting a little bit of what you were saying, Carol Ann, and what was really transpiring is the idea that, and obviously this is about doing something together, and really about meaningfulness and the idea of those powerful questions. We have to learn how to have those powerful questions, but there's also something that started to remind me is when you said, oh, we have this all there, we want to keep the front and we don't want to necessarily go into the powerful questions because we will have to do something. I'm guessing. Oh, that's just me mind reading. And actually, yes, because obviously when you're asking powerful questions, everything in our body is starting to gear us up to act, because the act of asking powerful questions begins an energy within our body. It creates vibration enough to start firing us up and make those new connections. And that then gives us the impetus to move. So I think we shouldn't be scared of asking the questions, even though people, when we hear it, it's like, well, I want to act and I really don't want to act. Just asking the questions really opens up a doorway. And I think what often happens is we think that that's going to reflect something negative. But actually, if we're looking at it, we're actually moving towards ourselves. The moment we ask those powerful questions, we're actually bringing ourselves into the real present, where we can start to stay here, because only here can we actually change anything. Only here can we do the transformative work that we want to do. And even if it isn't transformative, it's just recognizing that when we're here and we're present, it gives us the space to be able to speak for ourselves, or not speak necessarily, but it allows us to connect. It allows us to connect deeply with someone else. And I think what often happens is we live imagining ourselves in someone else's shoes instead of living from our own shoes, right?
Yeah.
Most people that are frightened, particularly social anxiety, is one of the biggest fears that people have. It's really them looking in front of somebody else, from somebody else's eyes, looking at them, which, hey, we don't know what they're thinking. They may just be thinking, thank God you're on the stage and not me. They could be so enamored with you just because of that. I think it's really, if we stay in the present, in the sense of asking these kind of powerful questions, we stay present. And that's when we get the gifts of whatever is going to come. But also it calms us down, which means we automatically are likely to be better at communicating with someone else. We automatically connect differently the moment we are present and calm down. And so, yes, if we're able, if we need to be messy in order to change things, but we can be messy to actually form connection, right? Maybe what if messiness was the real intention, was connection? What if, right? Because it's telling you to do something. It's telling you to maybe give more of an act of love. Maybe it's more about going deeply and having a look, being curious. Maybe it's about finding the meaning of why you're together, right? Finding the purpose of, or finding a way where you think, oh, well, that's what I like in the future with this person. It can give you a way of reevaluating. And that then gives you a sense of deeper connection, deeper love, deeper understanding. So I think there's something very valuable about messiness. And it's a nicer word than chaos, probably, but even though I think it's glorious chaos. But that messiness is just really a lovely word. Oh, I mean, the messiness of it. Oh, how nice, how liberating. How liberating to be in the messiness and not have to have everything perfect. This is perfect as it is. So that's, those are the things that I was really spending time in. And I think if we, it's a matter of reframe. Is the messiness creating greater connection? How do, that's part of the thing, building real connection on an imperfect life. Imperfect life within itself means it's messy. So what if messiness was to create connection?
I like that.
I know it's an odd way to think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, but it is, I mean, if we can't spend time looking to see, that's where the meaningfulness comes in, isn't it? If we say messiness means creating connection, then it becomes meaningful, right? It becomes a meaningful thing that we, oh yeah, I can embrace messiness because it's going to give me greater connection. It's going to give me better relationships. But it's not something to be frightened of. Actually, it's something to really encourage in your life, right? For the change. Comfortable being with the uncomfortable because we're in the mess.
I like that. Be comfortable, being uncomfortable, be okay. I like that. Because you both said the same thing in a very, very powerful way as well, different in a different angle. I think like Carol Annie gave me food for thought that just be in the present. And Shireen, you said being in the present is automatic, helps you to actually communicate with someone well, properly. And I think when you are in the present, what you guys are saying is you are actually willing to be seen. You're putting out yourself out there. You're no longer hiding. You're like, I'm in the present moment. I'm going to let you see the real me and stay or not stay. And when you let someone see the real you, I think that's where the trust grows in a relationship. Um, like Shirini said, let chaos be chaos. Laughing, like we laugh at chaos. When things are chaotic, we still have to laugh. When dinner is banned, how do you react when dinner is banned? Some people, they react with anger, awkwardness, silence, last minute cancellation. How do you react with that? Laugh. Do you react with laugh? I think these at the moment, like Carol Anna, you shared last week. Was it last week? How when you were traveling, how your journey that was meant to be straightforward, on the train it became messy, and
that was a few weeks ago.
yeah, a few weeks
Yeah.
ago, and Kamal said, "Did you enjoy that messy?" Yeah, I think it all come down to, okay, the dinner is banned, like looking at things and not getting angry with someone, or you never do this, you never do that, and just say, okay, we never had takeaway, we've not had takeaway for a long time. Why don't we just have takeaway, or dinner is banned, or let's cook together and have fun cooking together. It's just, I think it's just living like what you're saying, live in what you guys are saying, live in the present moment. And like switching your mindset to work for you, not to work against you as well. I think that is really, really important.
Yeah. I love
It's
that.
2
We were
o'clock.
saying about
So
let's do it in the present. What's here? What can we do together?
yeah,
And I got a lovely quote here that says the strongest relationships aren't those without storms, but those that learn to dance in the rain. And a storm,
yeah,
messiness, it's about coming together. And I love that we were saying, Shereen, about connections, finding connections, because in a messiness, in a storm, it can sort of push you apart because you get in your own head, you get in your own fears and your own judgments. It's about getting real with those fears and judgments, being open and honest about them, coming together and connecting, and actually accepting each other's humanity. Both are human, both have ways of being that have been learnt, that have been you've grown up with, and so that's what you're bringing to the relationship. And it's getting honest about that and being able to then find a dance, connect, and dance together. And one can lead, the other follow, the other lead, the other follow. Or maybe it's a line dance, where you're just together. dancing together, doing the same steps together. Neither is leading and neither is following. There's a togetherness. So it's like, which dance do you want it to be? And does it matter which dance? In that moment, you can choose, you have a choice. And if there's, you're not choosing the same dance, then there's something to learn there, because there's another messiness, there's another dissonance happening. And it is about finding coherence and moving and together and coming together. Real love is messy, sometimes loud, often inconvenient, but always worth it when it's rooted in truth. It's from Brene Brown. And I think that's lovely. Again, we come back to that authenticity, that truth, being present and being vulnerable, because that's what can hold you together. Being vulnerable, showing your vulnerability is what can hold you together. When things get a bit chaotic, it's that glue that holds you and allows you to connect, isn't it? A glue connects, but it holds you together. So I just love it. And I love this other one, Morgan Harper Nichols. Love doesn't need to be flawless. It needs to be faithful, showing up again and again, even when things feel undone. So again, it comes back to showing up. It's that showing up and not going hiding, not walking away. So show up. Be willing to show up. I was going to leave someone with my final sort of words here. Life is rarely tidy, but love that can breathe inside the chaos, that is the love that lasts.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm going to just sit for a second in that. Let it just percolate. I think it is the truth, isn't it? It's the supreme act of act of love, in essence. Yeah. I loved your storm, right? Life's about a storm, and which dance do dancing in the rain. That really had me thinking in the sense of different kinds of dances and the different, are you in a line dance? Are you in a foxtrot or in a jive? What are you in? And that just kind of then brought me into the idea of how each of you need to, as partners, need to talk about how can I have love demonstrated to me. So the love languages is so important. But I really want to leave this in the sense of, if, really about spending time just considering, holding that thought. The messiness is the call to connect. The messiness is just simply the call to connect. And how that, and if it's messy, is what am I not connected to? Am I not connected to myself? Am I not connected to my partner? What am I not connected to, and what kind of connection do I need to have here now? How do I dance? Maybe I need to do a quick step here. Right. Maybe tomorrow the tango or samba.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that as well. For me, I live with these guys. Keep showing up for yourself and for your relationship. Relationship are built on consistency, not grand gestures. Be the one who checks in, show up and remember. Be the one who remembers your relationship, who remembers your spouse. Be curious, not controlling. And reflect, don't regret. Stay open even when it hurts. I think that's me. Have you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone who is watching, guys, please do follow Carol Annie and Shireen and myself as well. or you can sign up for a free consultation by going to the website www.hseia.coach and follow us on our social media. We have two groups on Facebook, Nkosi Talk Shows and Unique Billionaire Mindset. Please do join the groups and live with grace, everyone. I will see you tomorrow, and I think I'm on my own tomorrow as well. So,
I'll see you next week.
what am I doing?
I don't know.
We're still live, by the way.